So last year I watched one of NASA's reviews on a knife that Dan Keffeler had made. And I spoke to Dan about getting a similar knife made, some minor modifications. First of all, I wanted a leather sheath. Kydex is too brittle here. It gets cold enough that even if you were to drop a relatively heavy knife, the Kydex can shatter. This came out really well. I wanted a plain sheath, nice and sturdy, wide belt loop, dangler. Very happy with the way it came out. Very clean design. The knife is very similar to the silverback pattern that Dan makes, with a couple of modifications. Blade is longer, wider. The handle is significantly longer. Partial tang, fully enclosed, multi-position grip. So most forward grip is like this. Thumb over ramp. Everything is nicely contoured. No sharp points. This puts you in a position for maximum power forward when you want to do cutting with this area right here. The edge is also differentially ground. It goes down to around 5 thou thick right here. It swells to around 25 thou thick in the chopping area and dips down to around 15 thou thick during the tip. So I got precision cutting, power chopping, light brush clearing. So for light chopping, use a grip about right here. Heavy chopping, move back here. It has a palm swell right here to lock your hand in for the maximum impacts. The end hook is very well flared, so that while it does allow you to retain your grip in extremes, it doesn't generate sharp impacts against the fingers. And you'll notice every aspect of the handle like that. A lot of consideration has gone into ergonomics. Even, for example, in a rare grip like this, where you're just basically using the spine as a bit of a hammer or an impact, you can see that the handle actually extends out onto the actual forward guard. This spreads out the area more, so when it's resting against your hand, you don't have just the thin steel of the guard, it's actually spread out. And you can see the curvature here. That's not accidental. That's the exact curvature it needs to mate onto the end of your hand right there, and again, for comfort. The handle has a very aggressive texture. It's from bead blasting. Again, that's to give me retention even when my hand gets wet, sweaty. Not going to have any issues with it slipping around. There's a forward hole right here for a lanyard. There's no rare one. I don't use one. I didn't ask for one intentionally. I don't use the forward one either, but it's nice to have just in case someone does want to use one, I guess. The handle is not big enough for a two-handed grip. It's never really intended to be one. It's more of what I would call a handle and a half or a multi-position type grip. Again, very comfortable in all aspects of how you want to use it, and are really looking forward to taking this out and giving it some use. This is designed to sort of be the largest knife that I can use and still have it able to be knife type work. The balance is about right there, which is fairly blade heavy, but still not that unwieldy when I go forward like this, because now I've shifted my actual force line up to about here, which is about here, so I'm creeping up on the center of mass. When I shift all the way down here though, all of a sudden I'm more than 3 inches behind that, so all of a sudden this has a very axe type feel when you're working back here, but go all the way up here and it's much more like a knife. And this blade length is about the maximum I can go before it becomes very awkward to try to do anything that's not sort of machete type work with it. But again, so I've got, like, for precision cutting, I've got a grip like this. For light to medium chopping, and then for heavy chopping and brush clearing, you can see the extension that this gives on the blade Now all of a sudden I've got an effective blade length starting from here, which runs out to the tip, so it's now almost acting like a full-length machete. So again, very versatile blade from Dan Keffeler. Really looking forward to trying this out and seeing how she performs.